hope I made clearly. There is a post-tribulation rapture. Jesus says immediately after the tribulation of those days. There's no doubt about the fact that he's talking about at the end of the tribulation, there's going to be a gathering of the living and the dead people who accepted Christ after the first rapture and during the tribulation. So after these verses, okay, after verse 31, Jesus changes timelines here, okay? He's not on the same timeline. Jesus is now talking about preparing for a pre-tribulation rapture, and I'll prove this to you. Now, this is verse 32. Learn this parable from the fig tree. Now, he's changing. This is different. He's no longer talking about the tribulation. Learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know that it is near at the doors. Assuredly, I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. But of that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, now listen to this, because this is very different from the end of the tribulation. As the days of Noah were, so also will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will the coming of the Son of Man be. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, the other left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. So now, this is completely different from the text before that. The text before that, Jesus is saying, unless those days have been cut short, no flesh will survive. Great tribulation is going to come on the world. This has not happened in the history of the world, nor ever will be. The sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light. The powers of the heavens will be shaken. Jesus graphically describes in the first part of Matthew 24 the worst time in the history of the world. Then he starts talking about, look at the signs of the times and be ready when I come, because my coming will be like in the days of Noah. They were buying, selling, marrying, giving in marriage, business as usual. There is no business as usual at the end of the tribulation. Okay, there's a stark contrast. Listen to this verse. This is where Jesus talked about the tribulation. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven will shake it. Listen to these words now. As the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days of Noah, or as in the days before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage until the day Noah entered the ark. They did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will be the coming of the Son of Man. One of the most important doctrines concerning the rapture is imminency. Now, Jesus can come. I believe that some year Jesus is going to come during the Feast of Trumpets. I've talked about that before on the program, which happens in the fall of the year. Next year, it will be during our conference that the Feast of Trumpets happens. But it could happen anytime. Jesus can come anytime he wants to. But imminency is a very important doctrine. But you have to understand that when the abomination of desolation takes place, Jesus said, because some people would say there is no pre-tribulation rapture. The rapture happens at the end of the tribulation. You can actually count. Jesus said you won't know the day or the hour. You can actually count the days from the abomination of desolation till the second coming of Jesus. Let me show you in Scripture. Daniel 9:27 says this. This is Gabriel talking to Daniel. He shall confirm a covenant. The Antichrist shall confirm a covenant with many, Israel, for 1 week, for 7 years. But in the middle of the week, he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of abomination shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation which is determined is poured out on the desolate. Okay, there's going to be a 7-year covenant. The Antichrist is going to show up. The tribulation begins when the Antichrist confirms a covenant with Israel for 7 years. In the middle of the 7 years, what it just said in Daniel 9, the abomination of desolation takes place. Okay, so right in the very middle. Okay, this is Daniel chapter 12. Then I, Daniel, looked, and there stood 2 others, one on this riverbank and one on the other riverbank. And one said to the other man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, how long shall the fulfillment of these wonders be? Then I heard the man clothed in linen, who is above the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand to heaven, and swore by him who lives forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and half a time, And when the power of the holy people has been completely shattered, all these things shall be finished. Although I heard, I did not understand. Then I said, my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified, made white, and refined. But the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away, and the abomination of desolation is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he who waits and comes to the 1,335 days. Now, there are 3 periods of time being talked about here in Daniel 12. They're very important. The first, the question was asked, how long is this going to happen? And it was 1,260 days, a time, times, and half a time. Israel used a 360-day lunar calendar. So that's 1,260 days. The second time here in verse 11, it says there will be 1,290 days. That's 1,260 days, 3.5 years, plus 30 days. It says, blessed is he who waits and comes to the 1,335 days. That's actually the beginning of the millennium, after the second coming, after the abomination of desolation has been removed, after the sheep and goat judgment and all those things have happened. There's the inauguration of Jesus as king, and the millennial kingdom begins. That's the reason that there's a time difference. But here's what I'm trying to say. So Jesus said we wouldn't know the day or the hour. We're just told the day's right there. We are told exactly the timeline right there. So if you're alive during the tribulation, there is no imminency whatsoever. When you see the abomination of desolation, the entire world is going to see it all at the same time. According to Revelation 11, they're going to see the 2 witnesses get killed. They're going to see everything the Antichrist is doing. If you see it, you could literally take your calendar out and say, Jesus is coming right here. And so there's no imminency. So I'm saying, when you look at Matthew 24, and Becky was saying, it seems to me like, Matthew 24 is a good proof of a post-tribulation rapture. It sure is. Jesus graphically says there's going to be a post-tribulation rapture. Then he turns around and starts talking about the signs of the time. We won't know when he's coming, and it's going to be like the days of Noah, buying and selling, marrying, giving in marriage. Now understand this, at the end of the tribulation, there is no buying, selling, marrying, giving in marriage. Over half the world's population is dead. The earth has been under judgment after judgment after judgment, the worst of which are the bowl judgments at the very end. There's no buying and selling, marrying, giving in marriage. Jesus said, unless those days have been cut short, no flesh